We are on the floor because we're going to be messing around with speakers yet again on this channel. Got my Marshall 1936 cab here. Got this for a pretty good price a few months ago, and it came with the Marshall Vintage 30 speakers that I thought I didn't like, and then I thought I did like, and then I thought I didn't like. They sound really good in all the demo videos I can see on YouTube, and I made some impulse responses and they sound good in those. I think sometimes in the room, for me, they sound a little bit flubby sometimes, particularly with the PV6505. I have swapped them in and out of this cab about 4 or 5 times now, getting a bit tired of it. They're currently out of the cab. I've got a pair of them, 16 ohms. In the cab at the moment, I've got the G12K 100 and the Warehouse 25 watt greenback. And it just kind of throws me off having different speakers, especially in a horizontal 2x12 cab, because it means that it sounds different depending on where you're sitting, particularly, left or right of the center, or even if you are in the center, it does sound a bit different because the left and right are unbalanced. And if you're using the cab in stereo, then that problem kind of becomes, even more of an issue. Obviously, miking them up, it's useful because I love blending mics and speakers. I feel like you get much nicer distorted tones that way. Many people would agree. And the greenback G12K combination is a very good combo, as is the G12K Vintage 30 combination. I can't mix, or I don't really want to mix this with the G12K because this is a 16 ohm. They're both 8 ohms. You'd get a weird parallel 5.3 ohm DC resistance or something like that. So it's just not nice. I'd rather have a regular impedance for the amp to see. So I'm going to put the Marshall Vintage 30s back in it because I do like them. It records really nicely. And I have found that the G12K on its own works pretty well in this 1x12 cab that I've got. I've just been putting off because I need to make a back and a baffle, a front and a back for this cab. But weirdly enough, it does sound pretty chunky with no back on it at all. So I am going to make a plywood back for it anyway, and just so I can do a quick A/B with that as well. The other consideration is that my Marshall SC20 amp that I'm a pretty big fan of, it only comes equipped with a 10-inch speaker. I have put a few 12s in there. It's currently got the Warehouse Veteran 10, which sounds good, but it's still a 10-inch speaker. I'm thinking I'm going to put the greenback in there. I've had it in there before. I've had the G12K in there. But I don't love that amp through the 10. The cleans are nice, but the dirt, not so much. So I think the greenback in there will be a good middle ground. I still want to keep the 10, but maybe I'll build or acquire a 10-inch cab for that at some point in the future. I'm going to do recordings as we go anyway, because it's always nice to just do a quick recording, even for my own sanity, so I can listen back before I go and start swapping around speakers again in the future. So yeah, let me know your thoughts on how you feel about mixed speakers in cabs. I know it can be useful, but something about it just kind of doesn't sit right with me. I do like, and also the fact that I just like to keep certain things stock. So that cab with these speakers is kind of as designed. It's not the greatest cab in the world. Other reason, I want to look back inside and see how much of it is MDF, because I remember seeing some in there. I can't remember which parts of it were MDF, but I want to have another look at that. I don't know how much that affects the tone, but I'm sure it does a little bit, because obviously it's going to resonate significantly less depending on how much of it is made out of MDF compared to plywood. So yeah, the overall plan anyway is to have that back to normal and get the G12K into this 1x12. So that I can use that maybe for like sort of a solid state rig, because I do have the Marshall valve state power amp to use with that, as well as a few preamps and such. So yeah, let's take a listen to some comparisons now. you.